relationship expert Matt Townsend is here to dive into the Studio 5 inbox, our little mailbox there. We got some great questions. Ready to dive right in?
Let's dive away.
Okay, right, first one up here from a frustrated mom. She says, I have tried everything to get my 14-year-old son to wake up for school. I am so frustrated. I could just scream most mornings, and I do. Could you please tell me what I could be doing better? Help, please, from a frustrated mom.
She's frustrated.
She sounds frustrated.
You have teenagers.
I have teenagers, and you know what? I'd give it up right now because it's not going to happen. I just heard, by the way,
yes.
My son is 6-year-old singing Lady Gaga while he's soaking in the hot tub.
You're a 6-year-old?
Yeah. So, you know what? I'd be pretty happy with a 14-year-old that's not getting up. It's a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, check it out. She's got a motivation problem, right? Now, who's not motivated?
The son is not
the son.
Right?
Mom's highly motivated,
yes.
And mom wants to motivate the son to do something that apparently the son doesn't want to do.
And the mom does want it.
And the mom, she says she's tried every way to motivate this child. But why isn't he motivated? Probably because I'm going to bet we've yet to really get into the son. We've yet to figure out why the son's not motivated. See, motivation's not me getting you to do something. That's me being motivated, getting you to do something. It's not me training a dog to do something. If you can get a dog to train other dogs, then you've motivated somebody. So here's the cool deal. Mom, I'd get into your kid. There's probably a reason. One reason he might not be getting up is because he's a 14-year-old boy. He's probably growing faster than ever and probably lacks an incredible amount of sleep. I'd get into him and start finding out what's going on. Is it that you're growing? Is it that you're sick? Is it that you're lazy? Is it that you're depressed? Is it that you're just not motivated? Then I'd get into him and I'd find 1 or 2 things that he absolutely loves. And then I'd start leveraging them. I have kids that love their iPod touches. And if I say, you know what, we got to get this house clean in the next half hour, or we got to take all the cell phones and iPod touches away.
The house gets clean, I'll imagine.
Way clean.
Know? Yeah.
So if it's really important that we have family time in the morning, we get everybody up, then you know what I would say? You know what, if we're not all getting up in the morning, then we're going to probably need some consequences.
So work at it, though, on his level, what he likes, what motivates him.
If you want to move someone, you got to know what moves them. So I'd go get into him, find out.
Okay. Next question. Hey, Matt, what do you do with overindulgent grandparents? Is there a gentle way to address it with them, even if they were that way with their own children, so you've got kind of a generational thing, kind of habitual?
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
You know what? You can't mess much with grandparents, because they could just die on you like that. You have no idea. So you got to be super careful. Whatever you do. Did I say that out loud? You're looking at me funny.
I hope your in-laws are
Keep
watching.
talking that. You know, and overindulgent, notice, highly subjective. And this is the mother. So is it the overindulgent grandparents-in-law or her parents? I guess when it comes down to it, you got to talk to them. You got to have enough nerve to go up and say, you know what, Mom and Dad, we love what you're doing. I call it the XYZs. I love X, no, or Grandma and Grandpa, when you do X, and be specific, it makes us feel Y. When you give the children candy all night, it makes us feel a little frustrated with you. And what we'd rather see is that we don't give them candy after 7 or whatever. You know what I mean? X, Y, Z. But you have to communicate it. If you don't communicate it, you're setting these in-laws up to be this super powerful, overindulgent family.
It's so hard to say it after the fact, though, because it almost feels like you're slapping them on the hands and scolding them, and they're your parents.
Part of this is that's just correction. See, some grandparents, I mean, we're still the parents. We still have the choice to decide what we want our children doing and not wanting. I would just start kind of casually, carefully, selectively educating my family on how I want my children raised. I think it's one of the hardest questions we've got today.
Yeah.
Because they've got feelings and they can get mad or whatever, but the neat thing is that this is still a relationship. So if I have power with you, I can say that, and I'd even joke about it personally. I said, no, don't just give him 1 cupcake. Give him the whole load of cupcakes, Mom. But at some point, it's going to take a relationship and some push. I would talk. I would dare say it, or I just quit worrying about it. She's either got to quit worrying about it.
Are there times when you just grin and bear it and move on?
Yeah. If it's seriously impacting the relationship, if you go home and have to be angry at them for hours, then we need to talk about it. Or you got to let it go.
Okay.
The next question for you right here. How can I better handle my husband's input? I feel like he comes home from work and immediately starts giving me his negative input into how I decorate or clean or cook. I welcome help, don't get me wrong, but after a day of working hard with our kids or cleaning, the last thing I want to hear is that he thinks I should do it differently. It's really starting to drive me crazy.
The harping husband.
The harping husband. Negative input. Now notice, the first time she said, I really get frustrated, I can't handle my husband's input, and then she mentioned later that it's negative input. One of the best ways to kind of make sure you're getting more positive input is I'd make a really big deal when you hear positive things. Like, oh my heck, thanks so much for complimenting me on the kitchen. That really meant a lot to me. If you want to hear more positive input, I'd make sure you're noticing it and pointing it out. Again, this is going to come back to a decision where do I need to talk to him about this? I'd also try to figure out, why is he saying this? Is he just a control freak, evil spawn of Satan? Or
Maybe.
does he really have his own desire and he's just trying to help? We get to decide. This is the neatest thing about being a person in relationships. We always get to decide what it means. When he comes home and starts harping on me,
you mean.
yeah, is it because I'm a horrible mother that can't do enough or can't do anything right? If you're interpreting that's what he means, you're probably off, because nobody really would probably think that. But it might be more about you. So I guess what I would say is, first check your head. What does it really mean? What do you think it means? And I try to take it in the most positive way you can. He's trying to help us have a better house. Then I'd have a conversation. Huh, I really appreciate those comments. And when you say X, I feel Y, and I'd rather see Z.
I like the idea, too, though, of pointing out the positive and re-emphasizing the positive, because sometimes when you ask someone to act a certain way, it feels like they're not doing it out of sincere, genuine.
That's exactly right. And one of the big things I get into in my program, I mean, I have a lot of people that aren't sincerely liking talking to their partner, or aren't sincerely liking being intimate, or aren't sincerely liking hanging out, or going on dates. What I teach is, the longer you do it, the more sincere it becomes. A lot of things we do at first, we don't know quite, like I didn't sincerely change a diaper. I pretty messily, horribly changed the diaper. But eventually, once I got good at it, I could get some sincerity in there.
Okay, all right, that's good, that's good. Next question, this comes from Annie. She says, I'm a part-time working mother. Hats off to her. Even being part-time, I have a hard time balancing and changing, I think that's a key word, changing roles from work to home, to husband to baby, to just time for myself. That self-shuffle and that self-scheduling can be so hard.
It's so selfish. No, it's not. Poor Annie, think of this. She's got to go to work. She has all these kind of social pressure, financial pressure, comes home, has social obligations, mother obligations, feels all of this pressure. And statistically, women feel a lot more of this pressure than as guys we do. Don't know why, but we feel different kinds of pressure. But this pressure to balance roles is an enormous deal. I don't personally believe you can balance certain things. In fact, anything that's actually moving or in flux, we don't actually balance it to a perfect point. We're always constantly just adjusting it.
I'm still fixated with you can't balance things. You don't believe you can balance things.
Well, can you balance nature? How does nature balance except shifting constantly?
But it's sort of true. I mean, it's always either one side or the other.
When you're standing on the ground, you're not perfectly balanced. You're always kind of leaning one way, and then your body catches you and throws you the other way.
A little bit more than other people.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Times, you know? That's why we do all these segments sitting down.
Exactly. You usually have a belt around me. But it's a big deal. So one of the things I guess I would do is just know that balance is constantly moving. That's one key.
Okay.
So the idea is, at some points we're going to be more of a mom. Sometimes we're going to be maybe less of a mom. You're never going to be a perfectly balanced mom, because I don't think that that exists. The role of mother's constantly changing, and how you need to be a mom. The last weekend, I was supposed to have a Pinewood Derby car ready. Yet I had the busiest Saturday of my entire life. I had like 4 speeches in a day. How do I get 4 speeches in a day, professional, and a Pinewood Derby, and be there for the Derby when it was in the middle of all this stuff? So we're kind of always out of flux. Now, here's the key. I believe the biggest key to all balance is vision. Think of it. If I asked everyone to stand up and balance on one foot and close your eyes, that gets twice as hard. So if we have a vision of what we want, how does she want to be remembered as a mother? How does she want to be remembered as a worker, as an employee, as a friend, as a daughter? And once we know what our vision of our big picture is, then I think it's easier to balance.
But so how do you, in those moments when, let's say, you're adjusting and you're trying to get the perspective of, I'm not going to be the perfect mom today, I'm going to be maybe less of a mother today, like you said, on that scale. It's the guilt that sets in that's so
totally
hard.
Listen, the guilt might be telling us something. Maybe we're not living aligned to what our real vision is. And maybe we feel compelled socially to go work, where we maybe could back it off, go part-time, and maybe that would align our lives more. Or sometimes maybe we should go work. Like, there's times, in a way, our family's getting to a point where I kind of would like my wife to get out of the house so we don't lose a child soon, because it's getting scary. And we're all frustrated and stressed. And so part of this is no offense, hon, but part of this is we also need space. So one of the best ways, ask yourself, what's the most important thing I can do today as a mother? And set one goal. Not 50. You still got 50 things to do, but there's one that's probably core to your vision. What's the most important thing I can do as a friend, as a wife? And just set 4 goals that are important. instead of trying to do everything that's not important but urgent.
And I think it's very interesting, as you were saying that, I think if I get busy, and if I'm not out of balance completely, like you were saying on the Saturday, I think I'll just make up for it in the future. But I think women get a little bit more tweaked if they're not completely perfect all the time, you know?
They
One
like
goal
to clean the
each
slate.
day. I like that.
One goal, but focus the goal on important, not urgent. There's a million things you got to do that are urgent. All urgent things are not important. Focus on the important thing. The important things the thing that leads you to your vision or your mission.
What you want to be remembered as. Okay, one more question for you here. I honestly cannot stand my father-in-law. He's very difficult, rude, controlling, etc. He's the kind of person who blames everyone else and never apologizes. My husband and I have not spoken to him in months. How do you deal with someone with this type of personality?
Everybody knows someone like this.
I met this guy. Think about it. I totally met this guy. Now check this out. I honestly cannot stand my father-in-law. Now, what happens is this. I'm going to bet her father-in-law is what I would call challenged, relationally and emotionally challenged, okay? He sounds difficult. We've all met this person. So when you're dealing with a relationally challenged person and you start becoming angry, frustrated, ignoring him, hating him, wanting to just kill him, what have you become?
You become him.
You become him. We're giving him way too much power. When we know somebody that's challenged with something, we don't take offense when they can't do it. We don't believe them when they say they will. We don't ignore them. We don't give them, we don't give them more of the same task.
That's so easier said than done, though, really, to be able to do that.
See, I call that character. Character is the ability to see in somebody what they really can deliver. And you got two choices here. If your expectation in this person is here and their delivery is here, this gap will always cause pain. Now you can adjust and either lower your expectation to what they're really like. He's challenged. He's a challenged man. You can keep thinking he's not and he needs to pick up his game, and you can keep hoping he will. But with a lot of our examples, we keep hoping that someone will step up. And in reality, we could lower our expectation, but then everyone's like, well, I'm supposed to lower my expectation about my father-in-law? Well, yeah, because the minute you lower your expectation, you're going to find peace. You're going to recognize that I'm not going to keep asking my father-in-law to do something that he just can't do.
So when that gap closes, so does the pain.
The pain closes, and it also creates reality where you now know what you can do with him and what you can't. Quit leading the illusion that he's something different, that he's not challenged. That man is relationally challenged. And he will be, and the only problem is as long as you chase the relationally challenged, you're just as challenged.
And if you get the power, you get the power in how you view them, and you can
Get
change.
it back!
Yeah, take it back. You know, if you've got a relationship question.